Welcome, everybody. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon. It is a Monday, April, what is it? The 15th, tax day. Oh, fuck. God, I hate tax day. I hate taxes, the DMV. I hate anything that you have to do. Like, some kind of rules. Oh, fuck. Anyway, tax day blues right here, but that's just life. That's how it goes. Gathering up my 1 million receipts, trying to figure life out, looking how little I made last year. What's going on, guys? I just got back from Detroit. I want to thank all the great Del Raisers that came out. And I gotta say, the Detroit Comedy Castle is going into my top 10 comedy clubs list. I have not ever done the Comedy Castle, and I got to tell you, all the people that always say, when are you coming here and there and all that bullshit, when you don't have an agent, it's next to impossible, but not when you have a club like the Comedy Castle. The owner, Mark, saw me on Conan, and the next day emailed me and said, we've never had you. Would like to have you come out this year. And boom, it was booked. And that's how it should be. In my eyes, it's a club owner doing the work. And he knows he wants to keep the club fresh. So he's constantly digging around, flying out to LA, New York, watching the TV spots, seeing who's in the game, and booking these people. So I cannot thank you enough, Mark and the Comedy Castle, for an incredible weekend. And I want to thank everybody that came out. Some really, really cool friends stopped by. And it always kind of breaks me up a little bit because it's just, I get out there and I don't know who's going to be there. And a lot of times it's scary. So thank you for getting the babysitters or whatever you had to do. Take a night off of work, pay for parking, drinks. I know it's you've got a choice when it comes to entertainment. And I don't take it lightly, so thank you. And I also want to give a big middle finger to all those people, once again, that hit me with the, hey, man, I can't make it this time, but come back soon. Or, when are you going to be in Detroit? Are you in Detroit? It just fucking blows my mind. I was there 5 shows. 5 shows. Hey, I don't mind if you don't go, but don't hit me on Instagram or Twitter and say, hey, can't make it this time. I don't need to know it, because I come 2,500 miles and, you go, come back soon. I'm not going to be back soon. And that's not in any kind of anger or anything. I'm just giving you a wake-up call. I might not be back. It's just hilarious to think that you could ask a comedian, hey, come back soon when I can make it. I know you've had this show booked for 6 months, but come back again. Fuck you. Also, all the people that don't know how to use a website in 2019, just throw your computer away because obviously you don't know how to use it. DeanDelRey.com. Every tour date ever is on DeanDelRey.com. That's what a website is for, my friends. That's what it's for. So there it is, another rant, another angry rant. I guess it is angry because it does really, it does blow my mind how much work I put into stuff, and people just are dumb. And I blame it on the ADD phone dummy world. People just look at my phone, pictures, but they're not taking anything in. They're not taking anything in. I'm going to see a band, Ice Age, tonight, and Shame at the Roxy. And then I'm going to go see Michael Schenker. You know how I found out about both those? I did some research. Oh, you know what? This band's amazing. Let's see when they're coming. Boom. Okay, they're coming on April 15th. Immediately put that into my calendar. Now I've got the tickets in hand. Okay, not going to miss that. That's how easy it is. Anyway, let's move on. Want to give some love to some and shine some positivity on my new Patreoners. I love all you guys. And I hope you've been enjoying the Patreon bonus episodes, everybody. It's fun to do. Patreoners new to the game here. Joe Saldezo. Hello, Joe. How are you? Next one is Wiseman Art. No name, just Wiseman_Art. All right. Rock and roll. That's a rock and roll name. You sign that on your check? Is that what you sign on your check? Wiseman Art. That's my name. First name, Wiseman. Last name, Art. Or maybe his name's Art Wiseman. I'm just fucking hitting that. I'm actually getting that. Maybe his name is Art. Arturo. Or Artie. Artie Wiseman. What's up, buddy? Santosh Towdy. Ooh, I'm sure I fucked that up. Santosh Towdy. For a donation, I will fuck your name up too. Subscribe to Patreon and let me fuck up your name. Nicholas Ogburn. How are you, Nicholas? All right, those are the new Patreoners. And for those of you that don't skip through the intro, here are the upcoming dates. Write them down. Tattoo them on your forehead. Tell a friend that doesn't smoke a lot of weed and has a good memory. This week, Minneapolis with Joey Diaz, and that's Friday the 19th, and 420 Milwaukee, Pabst Theater with Joey Diaz. Oh, man, it's going to be fucking fire. I'm going to go to the Harley Museum finally. April 29th through May 5th, Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas at the Rio Hotel, and June 7th through the 9th, La Jolla Comedy Store. Okay, let's get into the guest today. I have spent a lot of time in New York City over the last 3 years, and particularly 2018. I was there for a long time after being passed at the Comedy Cellar and digging in and getting into some New York comedy and checking out that animal and enjoying bouncing back and forth. And over that time, I met a lot of great friends, and my guest today, Mr. Ramy Youssef, is one of those friends, an incredible comedian, and he has an incredible TV show coming out on April 19th on Hulu. And I mean this. I do not watch a lot of TV. I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, but when I do sit down and watch something, I make sure that it's not going to be a time bandit. It's going to be something that's going to expand my mind and make me laugh, cry, and learn something from it. And that's what this show did for me. Ramy has a new show out called Ramy, and it is smoking. I couldn't believe it. I binge watched all of them. I just sat down and I couldn't stop watching them, and it was an honor to have him on, and I was super proud of him and Gerard Carmichael, who is an old friend of mine. I couldn't be happier for two guys that put together some serious art here. This show is definitely got a great art vibe to it. So check it out on Hulu. If you don't have Hulu, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of some kind of free trials you can do. And spread the word. Tell a friend about this TV show, because I want a lot of people to see it. The more people see this, the better TV we'll get, because people will be like, look, we don't like that old bullshit you've been trying to feed us. I always say there's about 8 shows over the history of TV that I just worship. All in the Family, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, The Wire, Louie, and this Ramy show's fantastic. What else did I love? Early Happy Days. I was just talking about it last night, specifically the first season of Happy Days when Fonzie's a badass. Before they made him all soft, Fonzie was a badass. He rode a Harley the first season, and then it was too heavy for him, so they gave him that Triumph. He didn't even ride. They just pushed it into the scenes, which is even funnier. But TV is an interesting animal for me because I know it's something that easily I could get addicted to, so I try not to watch it at all unless it's a must-see show. And some of those shows I mentioned, I still think about on long plane rides or laying in bed. It'll just come to me like, oh, man, God, that episode was so great. So, check it out. And thank you, Ramy, and thank you, The Comedy Cellar, for letting me record the show there. It was a good time. We did it at the world-famous Comics Table. Okay, hope to see all you guys out there. Check out the patreon.com/Dean Del Rey for all your bonus episodes. I'm about to drop one on there today. Talk about all kinds of good stuff. Tiger Woods. And enjoy the ride, guys. I will see you soon. Candles lit. Here he is, Ramy Youssef. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. Fantastic guest today, comedian. Introduce yourself.
Oh, hey, man. My name is Ramy Youssef, and we're here at the noisy but lovely olive tree above the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah, we're at the infamous Comics Table.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How are you, buddy?
Dude, I'm good. The rain is, I feel like because you spend more time here now or in L.A.?
Both.
Both?
But it's pouring rain tonight.
I can't, I feel like L.A. has stripped me of all expectations when it comes to the element. Because I grew up in New Jersey and I was used to this shit. Now I'm done. I've faded completely.
You're a weather pussy.
I'm done, man. I'm fucking done. It's over.
You prefer Los Angeles now that you've been out there?
Probably. I mean, reluctantly, I think my lifestyle is better. I feel healthier and all that shit.
Yeah.
But this is a better city. I'm never gonna say it's not the best city. Can't.
But at your level, either city's fine because you can get on as much as you want in LA, right?
Starting to. Yeah, it's starting to get there. It honestly, just recently, just this year, starting to be able to. But before that, really kind of struggling to just get 3-4 spots a week. Yeah.
What were you getting a week there? 1, 2, 3 a week somewhere?
I would say 3 to 4, which is pretty good for LA. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Here, it's you try and do that in a night, but yeah.
When you moved to LA, were you moving to LA more to get onto TV and films? Is that the reason you went out there?
Yeah, I started doing sketch comedy, making videos and writing and acting and stuff when I was I think I was 16, 17, and then I moved to LA when I was 21, and it was just to keep doing sketch and acting. But then I, got out there. I ended up getting cast on a show, but then I didn't have my sketch partners from New York, So I started doing stand-up, and I was really, I did this family sitcom.
What was it?
It's called See Dad Run. It was on Nick at Night, and Mark Curry.
Oh, yeah.
Was on it. And so I told him, I was hey, man, I kind of am interested in stand-up, whatever. And he was all right, cool. So where are you performing? And I was I'm doing Flappers, And he's all right. And then I'm on stage at Flappers, maybe 30 seconds into my set, and I, in that little Yoo-hoo room.
Yeah. The AC come on?
Literally the equivalent of the AC, but cigar smell of the doors opening, those little double doors opening. Tall-ass Mark Curry walks in, smelling of a cigar, sits in the back, starts tagging my jokes while I'm on stage, laughing.
Was that your first time going on stage as a comic?
It was not. It was in my first, kind of in my first couple months. That he comes out and then he was all right, cool, let's go on the road. And it was really crazy because it's I was shooting with him, and then I'd maybe been, dipping in and out. I'd been doing comedy for a couple years, but sketch, not really stand-up. But I got to go on the road and kind of open and really fail a lot in front of a certain type of audience. I mean, I think when you're doing the crowds that come out to see Curry, it's amazing. It's just a predominantly black crowd. Their reactions are so much different. If they're not into what you're doing within the first 20 seconds, they just start talking to each other. They don't like heckle. They don't do anything. They're just kind of
They
like,
just
oh,
tap
okay.
out.
They're like, okay, you're not here. Yeah,
They just tap out.
We'll wait for Mark.
We'll wait
You
for,
know?
yeah. I don't know what that guy's doing up there, but today at work sucked ass.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very, yeah, man, it's fucking just school.
So how long have you been doing stand-up?
At this point now, it's been, I would say, I guess it's been like 6-7 years, but a lot of it was dip. You know how it is, like you dip in and out and whatever. But I would say like the last 4 or 5 years, taking it very seriously.
Yeah,
you know,
I never dipped in and out, but I get it.
yeah, but you know how it's like you're flirting with like getting in, and I was doing a couple of things. You went straight in.
Yeah, because I didn't have any options. There's no TV or movies, so and thank God because it kept me focused on. Oh my God, I want to try to do this and get somewhere.
Yes.
Now here's something incredible. I've been seeing you a lot at the Cellar, and I also was seeing you at LA at the Factory and stuff, but mostly you and I run into each other at the Cellar. And you said, hey, I got a TV show coming out. And I said, oh, cool, you got to do the podcast. And you said, I didn't ask you what the show was about.
Yes.
I just knew that Mo was on the show.
Yes.
You were on the show, and I'm thinking, well, it's probably going to be one of those, where they try to, okay, it's the Middle Eastern comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where people try to lump in races and make it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Everybody's been trying to do it since the Cosby Show.
Yes.
Where they try to get like this formula. They got the wacky neighbor.
Yeah.
They've got the grandfather that said stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So you send it over, and I say, send it over. I want to watch it before I have you on. I sit down last night. I watched the first one. I'm like, oh, whoa, this is not at all. and I was like, this isn't a comedy at all. It's more of a dramedy.
Yeah.
And then I watched the second one, and then I watched the third one, and I'm hooked. But then I watched the fourth one.
Yeah.
And the fourth one is so fucking good. It's called Strawberries.
Yes.
And it has to do with a flashback scene of when you're in school and September 11th happens.
Yeah.
And as I watched that episode, it put me into your shoes of what that would have been like as being a Muslim in America at that time period.
Yeah.
And it was really radical. I thought it was really radical for a TV show. It was just great.
Thank you, man.
And the series is dark, which I gravitate towards.
It is dark.
It's really dark, and it's really interesting. And the pacing is nice and slow. It's not stupid, fast,
yes.
where it's just blam, 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 dumb jokes piped in here. It has a flow. And I love this thing.
Oh, man, I so appreciate that.
So
man.
I had so many questions as I watched it.
Yes.
Let's get into how you pitched it, how you created it, and who wrote it. Was it, obviously it's your life.
Yeah.
And is it pretty true to your life?
So I'll start from backwards.
And let's say what it's called. It's called Ramy.
It's called Ramy.
And it's going to be on Hulu.
On Hulu.
In April, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
and so it in terms of how true it is to my life, it's all very emotionally true. You know, I mean, that's the way I feel about stand-up. I think it's how do you take a feeling you felt and then expand it into whatever storyline or whatever joke it deserves, you know? And so to me, it's leading with feelings. And so much of that even comes from what you're talking about with the show, where you kind of expected, oh, wait, is this just going to be like insert race into formula or this or that?
100%.
For me, it's like, how do we lead with emotions? How do we deal with feelings? And that's the most human way to really show people. And I think like a lot of times what happens with shows and what happens with trying to represent a group is we lead with these talking points like, hey, you know, Muslims also care about their kids. Or, hey, you know, Muslims also think terrorism is bad. Or, hey, Muslims aren't bad, they're good. These aren't really feelings to me. These are things that we're trying to prove. These are bullet points that would almost be like, a lot of times I'm watching a show and I'm like, oh, this show is a commercial for why you should be okay with Asian families.
Right.
Or this is a commercial for why Muslims aren't bad. You know, these aren't feelings. These are talking points. These are things that are constructed as a defense. To me, the most honest feelings are the things you don't want to share. And they're the things that are vulnerable. They're the things that make you look bad. And so what ends up happening is when you have an underrepresented group, we're all trying to make them look good, so we hide the things that are quote-unquote bad. But the truth is we're all bad. We're all dark. We're all meeting at these places where things are kind of fucked up. And so the pitch of the show, the conceit behind the show is, instead of making a show that's like, hey, we all share these same values, it's more, hey, we're all fucked up in the same way. And how do we present a group like Muslims leading with the problems and leading with the vulnerabilities, because that's the thing that feels most human to me. And how do we make a show? For me, you know, so much of the pitch was, what is so true to my life is I would watch these things where you have a first-gen kid, or you have a kid who grew up in a religious family. The tension of the show is, I don't want to be like you, mom and dad. I don't want to be part of this culture. I don't want to be part of this faith. I want to be white. I want to be American. I want to be what my friends are. For me, that was never true to my life. I am a practicing Muslim. I pray. I also am really involved with everything my friends are doing, and I want to have sex before I get married, and you know, things that there's always this gap, I think, if you're a religious person, of what you believe and what you do.
Well, I that seems to be the whole tension of the show. You want to be into this religion, but you're battling because you're a modern day kid.
Yeah.
In this era of premarital sex, drugs, social media, and all of that stuff. And that is a great thing to see for somebody. You go, oh, well, this guy really believes in this, and he is slipping up.
But he's trying to be good.
He's trying to be good, but he's picking and choosing.
He's picking and choosing. And I think it's a line that a lot of people negotiate. And like, I think we try to act like it doesn't exist, or we try to act like people are either saints or sinners, and there's no space in between. And so that space in between has always been really fascinating to me. Like, how do we explore that nuance? And, you know, I remember doing stand-up and talking about believing in God, and I felt the tension in the room, you know, just like people being like, what?
I'm
like,
the same way when I do stand-up and say, I don't believe in God. Like, if I do jokes like that, that freezes up the room too. Yeah. Which is an interesting thing, to be able to try to get them to laugh, if they can laugh at either of our point of views.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. You know,
it is. Religion really is.
But I would think, and I would think more people. I wouldn't say more, but at this point, like, let's say New York, LA. New York, LA, you're at a bar, you get on stage and you say, I don't believe in God. I feel like you have more people who feel that way. Like, it's not going to be that way on the road, but New York, LA.
Well, I say it like this. I said, isn't it funny that the same people that don't believe in global warming are the same people that believe in God?
Yeah, that's funny.
That's what's funny to me.
That's funny.
So that always freezes up the room, because now we're getting into a political climate. And as I watched your show, I really felt like this show needs to be out there right now in this political climate, because people are so fuck everything, it's my way or the highway right now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with not understanding people. Of course, that's what everybody says. They're afraid of a race. They don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching this, I'm starting to understand what your religion and all that, because I don't even know Christianity. I always say I know a couple things. Noah's Ark, parting of the Red Sea, and Adam and Eve. I know the bullet points, but I don't know any of that stuff. And I'm just trying to survive myself. And I believe, just don't fuck people. Don't burn your friends or whatever.
Yes.
So that's my number one kind of,
I think that is what we're all trying. You know, we're trying to be good. That is so much at the core of what all the faiths are, but just what all our intentions are. And I think for me, in how we pitched it and how we talked about it, I was like, okay, how do we show that in a way that is nuanced? Because I think like stuff about God is always like angels in heaven, or the priest that does cocaine,
Right.
or like it's this very like cartoonish, blown out thing. And I produced the show with Gerard and
Carmichael?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we both, I mean, this was probably like 5 years ago. We were walking around Echo Park Lake, and we're talking, and I said to him, I was like, man, we're talking about God, him and I, and because he also believes in God, and I was like, I never see anything that talks about God the way we think about God. I've never seen anything that isn't, again, this commercial of you have to be religious, and again, this commercial of fuck religion, or this cartoonish depiction. Like, where is the thing that, that represents the way it is in my head? It's this hope when things are bad. It's this like rattling guilt when I feel like I'm doing things that are wrong. It's this ever present, knowing and wanting to make something that isn't about leaving the faith, that isn't about assimilating. It's just about who am I, and how does this fit in, and watching someone struggle with it. And so that's what, having a friend in him, and then us also kind of having the vision for putting it together that way, is the core mechanism behind what it is. I think it's a thought that a lot of people have, but like you said, it's political, it's polarized, it's turned into this like either or. And so for me, the aim of the goal of the show is like, how do we just complicate this conversation? How do we just make it feel messier in a way that has good intentions, as opposed to like trying to create chaos or anything like that.
How did you pitch the tone, and did you actually know the tone of the show, or did you shoot a sizzle? Because you could go into the room and tell them what it is, but the tone is such a big character in this show.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of it, we didn't shoot a sizzle. We pitched the show off my stand-up, and a lot of it, like, I did this joke on Colbert where for like 45 seconds I'm just talking about why I believe in God, and I'm like, I don't want to be preachy or anything. This is what I think, and then at the end I say, I don't want to be preachy. I just think that that everyone should submit to Islam because it's the truth. And when we were pitching the show, I was like, it's kind of like this joke. Like, I think that the show is gonna get serious at times, and then it's like going to deflate with what is a joke or not a joke, but it's going to like be provocative in a way that is, when I said that on Colbert, it was just like all these mixed reactions. You had like liberals being like, oh my God, he's joking. You had you had conservatives being like, no, he wants people to submit to Islam. And then you had Muslims being like, yes, he wants people to submit to Islam. Like he's doing a thing. And I was like, oh, this is like the level of complication I like. It's funny because we're hitting this tension. It's got this, it's got the nuance of being able to, get into things, but not necessarily like take a side. I don't want to take a side. I just want to say how I'm feeling. And what I love about comedy, what we do, is that you don't have to be right. And I think that's what's really cool about a show like this, where it's like, yeah, it's not correct. And I think when people are saying they don't want to be politically correct, what they're really trying to say is they don't want to be correct. So it's not about pissing people off. It's not about being like, bringing groups down or bring anyone down. It's just about like, let's just talk about these thoughts we have that are definitely not correct.
Who did you seek out to help write with the tone and the flavor of it? Were you guys looking into people? Because it does have a little bit of a pacing, kind of like Louis' show, where it's more of these kind of each episode is like a vignette about life. Mm-hmm. Did you guys seek out writers and like, hey, who can write this tone?
We had a cool, first off, I think like, the pilot I worked on with Ari Kacher and Ryan Welch. Ari created Carmichael Show with Gerard, and Ryan was his longtime writing partner. The three of us really, went into it, and we really, the whole season, starting from what we set up on the pilot, we were really excited about a short film tone. We felt it's kind of what people want right now for good reason.
I believe that.
And I think it's just like we're so inundated with, like you said, the quick cutty TV. I think, there's something about commanding the respect of a film, like in a cool way, if you can get there. But also, like, I think, Louis obviously is like a genre breaker for TV. I think this show has more clear jokes. Like
of course,
you know,
of course. But I'm saying pacing.
Yeah, no pacing. Yeah, but I watch those things were like inspirational for sure. But I was like, you know, this does need to be like, it does need to have some jokes because Muslims, you know, I want us to be funny and I want us to come off funny, but still fit in that world. And
well,
so
that's what I love about the jokes because they're dark and they come out of nowhere and you're like, oh God, that was weird.
It's and that is, you know, for our writers' room, we you know, we had some really great people. I mean, we had this woman, her name's Leah Nanako Winkler. She's a playwright, you know, so comes from a place that's not traditional TV. We're just trying to not do traditional TV. So
that's where some of the pacing's coming from.
Yeah, she's a playwright, half Japanese, and spent, you know, part of her life in Japan and the other part in Kentucky. You know, just like totally gets the first gen split in the way that I do. We had this great filmmaker. She's a director and writer and filmmaker, Minahal Baig. She's awesome, and she her film sold at Sundance this year to Apple. Just comes from a film place, you know. Our showrunner, Bridget, she was the showrunner on Transparent. That's another show that doesn't do the traditional TV format. So we had some really cool people, and you know, using my stand-up as the anchor, and really talking things out in the room. And our process was very much, how do we talk things out in the room? We would start with my stand-up, we'd talk stuff out in the room, and then I would take all the notes from the room, and I would go break the stories, and then we'd bring it back in. And so, like, it's a very personal process. I think we had a really close circle, and then I was just very hands-on with doing a lot of the typing of, like, breaking this story, and then, you know, having the team also flow it back and in and out to make, you know, what is, I think, something hopefully that just feels elevated in that sense, you know, and hopefully that it, you know, you feel the imprint of all what I think is a lot of really cool people helping make it better.
Did you go around and shop it to all kinds of people? Did you get turned down by people, or how did this work? Because it's going to be on Hulu.
Yes.
Hulu is starting to get some serious traction.
Yes.
There's been all kinds of platforms, CISO and all this stuff, but it seems to be now people are down with Amazon and Hulu as much as Netflix. So how did that work, the shopping process?
Yeah, we went to a bunch of spots. I think we went to all the big ones.
Even traditional TV?
Yeah, we went to HBO, we went to FX, I think we went to TBS, we went to and then Amazon and Netflix, and it basically came down to Hulu and FX is really what it came down to. And so FX really wanted to do the show, and I was like in love with the idea of FX because it's like Louis, it's Atlanta, it's like all these, it's like a pantheon of these great things. But you know what it ultimately kind of came down to was like around the time we were making the deal, they were like, look, we got this thing coming out, Handmaid's Tale. We want a comedy that's going to hit. We don't have one, and we want you to be part of something new and fresh, and you know, really like pioneer this with us. And there was just something really exciting about doing that. It was cool to be like, okay, wow, it's going to be, you know, maybe I'm in the realm of like, you know, Louis and Donald or whatever on a network like that. But I also at the time was like, who the fuck knows if FX is going to pick up the show? You know how it is.
Oh yeah.
It's like you go in, you go do the pilot, it could sit for a year, you have no idea. Hulu was just like really down. They really, really believed in it. And they in this unique way, and we felt like we could create something really new with them, and so it kind of after a while just became a bit of a no-brainer. And the more time has gone on since we made that decision. I mean, we made that decision 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was like, holy shit, this is a really close call. And then now I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like most of the time when people watch Atlanta, they don't watch it till it hits Hulu anyway. You know, so it's like it's really, we've had a lot of freedom to make the thing we wanted to make, which I think when you're at a traditional place, and even though FX is outside the box, it's still TV, it's still traditional TV, to an extent, you know, and they've totally like bent the genre of television. But you know, on streaming, your episodes don't need to be the same length.
Yeah.
You can
I
get
noticed
into
that
other
on some of
things.
them were 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, why do they have commercial breaks Was that just in case it went to TV? Because
some of the ones I sent you, yeah. So they, the ad breaks are there because Hulu Basic does have commercials.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but yeah, if you have
Okay.
premium, you don't see those. Yeah,
I was wondering what
we had
that was
edited
about.
it in those ad
Right.
breaks. Yeah. So yeah, it's just cool to like, you feel, even though there are the ad breaks on, whatever, but it's like we're not constrained, and it really felt like an open palette, and I think it made the show just get as weird and dark as we could in a way that we're really excited about.
Well, with Hulu, what's great is people could binge watch it all in a weekend.
Yes.
And then you could be out on the road and everybody's seen the whole season.
Yeah.
And you could start putting some butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Because I think without the binge watching these days, let's say even just a couple years back when people were watching like Breaking Bad and stuff and you'd have to wait weekly, people would lose not interest, but forget because they're in this just ADD world.
Yes.
And they'd be like, oh, I got to watch that number 4 of that show or episode 5.
Yes.
And they really might not get around to it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many options now. Back in the day, you were addicted. You're like, Thursday night's our night.
Yes.
But if you just miss a couple, you're almost out.
I mean, that's kind of how everyone wants to watch stuff now. I mean, it's all about like, how can we spend tonight or this weekend, and you just want to sit and watch the whole thing, and I think like it for this show particularly, I think being able to binge it's going to help it a lot. I think it.
Well, I was hooked. And this is why I stopped watching last night.
Yeah.
I didn't have episode 5.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7.
Yeah,
And I go, oh, I can't watch 6 and 7 without seeing 5.
Oh, it's so
well,
funny.
where's 5?
I know I got to get you 5.
I need 5,
I gotta
dude.
get you. Well, by the time this podcast comes out, they'll all be out.
I know
but
that,
yeah, but for now, yeah, I know. The reason I should have explained to you, 6 and 7, you don't need 5 to watch them. Which I should have told you.
Really?
Yeah, you can watch them without them. Yeah. Because you'll see when you see it. Yeah, you can skip around a little bit. Yeah.
I don't want to give any of the show away because
Yeah.
I could sit here and rifle through some of the funniest shit.
Yeah.
But is the Bin Laden stuff, the speech in there, is
Yeah.
that stuff real? I won't give it away, but is it?
So, the point about strawberries
Right.
is real. It didn't happen at that time. It happened actually in, I believe it was around like 2010, 2011. And yeah, where strawberry fields, in Egypt essentially are all outsourced. And I think that most of the time when we're looking at how accessible things are in this country to us, it's being, paid for at the bill of another country or at other people's expense. And so I remember reading this like little article about strawberries, and it really stuck with me because I was like, oh, wow, the way that we demand things in this country is at a cost to other places that we never think about. We have every fruit at every season. We have everything at every moment. It's not as easy as we think it is. And I found it to be a symbolic, when we talk about colonialism, we talk about all these things, I found it to be the most symbolic way to talk about that. And so, the facts, I think there was a period of a couple of years where that was true. But again, it's kind of like most of my stand-up and other things where it's like, it's definitely emotionally true. Our impact is felt that way, whether it's through that or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of, the points there, that actor who plays him is phenomenal. I mean, he's amazing.
You could have put anybody there
Yeah.
and done it for anything. You could have put a Chinese man there and
Yeah.
did Nike sweatshop stuff.
Yes.
You could have put, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The point is showing how America, we gotta have this. I don't care. As long as I don't see what's going on,
Yeah.
I'm all good. As tasty as the strawberry is,
Yeah.
as I watched that, I was like, wow. Because I was eating strawberries last week, and I was like, I swear to God, I was like, God, these are great. Where the fuck they growing these right now? I just thought California. It's got to be Bakersfield right here.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of them are, but it's a part of the conversation that I feel like just gets skipped over.
Yeah.
We just act like there's no, and there's no reason anyone could do anything, like how dare anyone, question anything that's happening with us. And it's not an apology. It's not it's not tolerating. I mean, 9/11 was one of the worst things that ever happened.
You're just putting a message out there.
But it's just like, this is the conversation the rest of the world is having. Yeah. So let's not be so confused, and let's just talk about it. And then then we can actually heal, and we can make sure things like this never happen,
Yeah.
And that's it's really, the goal is to further the conversation. I think sometimes there is no conversation happening, or we're like kind of tuning it out, and we're just like, how could anyone? How could they? And that's it. And this is kind of like, well, it's not right, it's not excusable, but let's just talk about what's being talked about.
Yeah. I've been doing comedy 9 years, and I think that September 11th was the most brutal thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I don't ever joke about.
Yeah.
And it's, even now would be hacky to do it, September 11 jokes now, but it was so powerful to watch it from the character that your dad is playing, the guy that plays your dad.
Yeah.
And to see that side of it, and it was pretty emotional to me, because I'm so anti-racism that it really even draws me in more, because there's your neighbor all of a sudden who was you probably barbecued with,
yeah.
or even the swimming pool stuff and all that, and then it totally changes out of fear. And it was interesting to watch that, and it makes me want to blast more, even more, try to figure out comedy to fuck with people that are racist.
Yeah.
To just be like, hey man, because I look like a racist. Yeah. If you looked at me. So it's interesting what people will say to me over the years as I'm pumping gas at a gas station on my motorcycle, or if I'm at a bar. And it's really wild to me.
You do look like absolutely.
I grew up in the Bay Area, and it was really a melting pot.
You got to speak to your people, man. You got to speak to your
well, that's
the demo
why,
you look
that's
like.
why I like to blast them.
Yeah.
I like to blast them.
Yeah, I mean yeah, man. It's actually funny because you've seen the episodes earlier, because I was excited to catch you while we're both in town. So I actually haven't really talked about this episode. It is. I'm so glad you see those things in it. It's very personal to me. Obviously, growing up, I was in 6th grade when 9/11 happened.
Did you actually see it in class like that?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I remember where I saw it. I went to. I wasn't feeling well that day. I was in 5th grade. I wasn't feeling well that day, and I went down to the nurse's office. And as I was walking through the hallway, I remember just the peak of a television in the office, in the main office, and I look, and just through the door, I see the towers coming down, and I didn't even know what to feel. It was just one of the weirdest things I'd ever seen. And then you just see adults crying, and you just feel this weird thing. And I remember, this episode I directed as well, because I was very I so much of the visuals in it had been in my head for years, and the scene at the end that we were talking about a bit was a nightmare I used to have. I used to have this nightmare of going downstairs and seeing him, and so bringing that stuff to life, and I don't think there's really been a ton of humor around 9/11 because it's not very funny in any way.
No.
But I think that what the episode, I hope, does is treat what happened with respect, while still finding the dark humor in how we dealt with it. And I think we're still dealing with it, It's the pain from it is a driving force behind a lot of what's happening today, And so again, it's hoping to just complicate the conversation, where it's that moment with the dad, or seeing it through the lens of a kid, can hopefully soften and complicate what feels like black and white things for people.
Your family's from Egypt.
Yeah.
They moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
What did they move to New Jersey for?
Well, my parents, both my parents are from Egypt, but they met in Queens, New York, and so
they were already living here. They moved separately.
Separately,
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom came with my grandfather, who was a translator for the United Nations, And then my father came, just truly American dream, just for a better life. He was, he wanted to be in New York, and he came and, really just worked his way up from, he was a busboy to, at a hotel, and then became the manager of the hotel, all within, 15 years. And that's, the type of work and the type of ethic, that I know I'll never have. It's like sometimes I'm like in the editing bay for like, day 6 in a row, we're working on a weekend, and I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. I'm not doing anything that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even close.
It's like, if I'm not doing this, I'm swinging a hammer in the sun.
My
so
God.
I'm like, hey, I'll take this work at any time.
I'll never stop being grateful for it. And so they, I love my parents, and for me, that's a part of my work, because it's why I care about my culture, my religion, and to want to treat it with care, because it's like, I don't have resentment towards it, and I think a lot of people do, and a lot of people have resentment towards their faiths and cultures for good reason. I was lucky to have a positive experience, and so I feel like that should be shared too, and I feel like, obviously it's not like the show is a positive walk in the park,
no.
but I think there is actually a positivity in the struggle, in the desire to make it all work,
Did you get any pushback from your family when you wanted to be in the entertainment business, or were they all about that?
They were confused. I mean, my mom, we just didn't know anybody who ever did. I didn't know anyone who had anything to do with Hollywood. I remember getting a manager when I was like 18, and then I thought the best thing the manager could do was help me get a show at UCB. And then he was like, no, we're talking about television. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay.
How'd you get a manager?
From doing sketch. I had my sketch partner.
And where were you doing sketch at? UCB?
I was doing it at UC, mostly at the People's Improv Theater in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in Jersey, but then I had my sketch partner at the time, one of my really good friends. He's an amazing performer. His name's Jonathan Braylock. Awesome performer. He's on a bunch of shit. He's on Kimmy Schmidt. He's got developing a show at IFC. He's doing amazing. We went to high school together, and we were doing sketch. We were writing every day. We were doing a bunch of shit, performing in the city. Ended up getting management.
That's incredible.
It was crazy. I mean, yeah, it was like so cool.
There's so much going on right now with Goatface.
Yeah.
And Hassan's new show.
Yes.
And now your show. And I really like Goatface.
They're
Aristotle
awesome.
and Hassan and Fahim, who's a goddamn superstar. I guarantee Fahim in a couple more years is somehow going to be monstrous. And Saturday Night Live, I can't believe they wouldn't pick that guy up.
I mean, Fahim is probably one of the best comics I've ever seen. I mean, he's amazing. I mean,
absolutely.
I think he's ripe for whatever he wants. Like I'm like, he's one of those people that I'm just like excited to see what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I feel like somebody is fucking up in his camp, management wise. We need some powerful guy to just be like, hey, Lorne Michaels, here's Fahim.
Yeah, I mean, he's the good thing about good work is it's always found.
You're right.
And it's like
it rises up.
It does, and he'll probably be the better for it.
We got to get him on your show.
I would love to. I really would. He would be so good.
How many episodes did you do for Hulu? 13 or what is it? Traditional?
We did
10.
We did 10, and yeah, man. And hopefully we get to make more. I mean, yeah, man. It was a blast.
Now, what's the date it comes out? April what?
April 19th.
April 19th.
Yeah.
10 episodes. It's called Ramy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this show's great.
Thanks.
Where's episode 5 now? Why wasn't it there?
The cut's being finished.
I got you. Okay.
We did, because we shot some additional things for the series, and so there's a couple episodes that are a little behind.
So you shot all out here in kind of Queens and stuff, right?
Well, we shot all in Queens,
and
shot all in Queens and Brooklyn for New Jersey, but it's like set in New Jersey, and then we shot for 3 weeks in Egypt.
Oh, Egypt!
Yeah,
I haven't seen that stuff yet.
Yeah,
That's
you haven't
coming
seen
up
that stuff. Yeah, our later episodes are in Egypt.
Was that your first time going to Egypt?
No, it's my character's first time. In real life, I go every year.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I've been a lot. I mean, there was a gap where maybe a couple years, high school, college, I wasn't going as much. But I've been there the last 5 years straight.
There's only a couple more places I want to go. I always wanted to go to Egypt because when I was growing up, Slayer shot that video there.
yeah.
Seasons in the Abyss.
Yes.
And if you know anything about that video, first of all, to shoot a video back in the 80s in Egypt at the pyramids. So they weren't allowed to bring lighting inside the pyramids.
Yeah, to preserve the tombs and stuff.
So they bribed the guards there with cartons of cigarettes and booze, and they used mirrors outside to bounce sunlight off inside there.
Wow.
This is what I read back then. It could all be bullshit. But I'm sure it is true.
Wow.
And they shot lighting in there, and then they shot the videos in there. And I always wanted to go, and I was like, I've got to go to the pyramids. I still want to go. It's one of the last things I haven't been.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
But I didn't know till about 10 years ago that there's like a mini mall across the street or whatever.
It's a fucking KFC, man.
Which is really bizarre.
I mean, if you zoom out of any photo of the pyramids, you'll see a KFC. It's pretty funny.
I still trip, too, how one of those guys shot a tank at the nose of the Sphinx.
Yes.
All the history of that crazy.
Oh, it's amazing.
Do you think the aliens built that? I love that one.
Yo, man.
You love that one or what? The aliens built that.
I'm open to it. I'm open to the possibility. I mean, when you it's such a feat. You're like, man, who knows? It's so much so much history there, and it's a very personal place for me, obviously, because my whole family's from there, and shooting there was really special. And yeah,
was it tough with permits and everything, or how did that work?
We had the best production team over there, man. They were I've worked with so many productions in LA and New York, and this crew in Cairo could cut it anywhere. They could have been, you throw them in LA, they're one of the top crews. Just one of the hardest working people I've ever met. People who just loved the show and really wanted it to do well, and really just so much talent and respect. And it was awesome. It was a really good experience with them.
I was hearing recently that the kids there, the millennials, say, of Egypt, are starting to get pretty, as the kids would say, woke.
Yeah.
But it's kind of changing the flavor. Is there, like, a weed culture and that kind of thing going on in Egypt as far as the young people smoking weed?
Oh, yeah.
And partying and stuff?
The craziest parties I've ever been to are in Cairo.
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, and I've been living in LA for 7 years.
Yeah.
Cairo.
Really?
Yeah, man. People party. Yeah. And so much of it is just because there's a lot going on. You know, there was the revolution. You know, there's a huge woke culture. There is also this reality that like things aren't as easy. And so I think when people party, they party hard, and they're like, you know, we want to have fun and we want to have a good time, and it's a big part of the culture. And it's interesting for me because I don't drink and I don't do drugs.
Just like the show.
Just like the show.
But you do premarital sex.
I do. I mean, you know, something's gonna fall somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's really fascinating to see how people are expressing themselves there, because it's not just partying. It's like some of the coolest art is coming out of Egypt right now. You know, like I've been to art galleries there that are like secret art galleries, because it's like,
so cool.
You know, there is a different relationship between the government and art. And I mean, look, when we shot our show there, the government read all our scripts. We got everything cleared. You know, they looked at everything. But it's just different. You know, I had to write with that in mind for those episodes. But when I am here, I can write whatever the fuck I want. It's like, yeah, okay, Trump, whatever, but Trump's not going to shut the show down. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a little different over there. And so the tension and the art that comes out of that is really beautiful, actually. Like, I mean, it's just pain, but like, I think when you talk about the youth, when you talk about, you know, the people there who are living there, they're like my heroes. Like, I respect them so much, and what they deal with is so much different than what I deal with. And I was just in awe of like being able to be there with them and work with them, because it was, yeah, man, it's actually revolutionary.
That's so cool. Is the internet censored over there? Do you know?
I think certain things might be, but I think people are get their hands on what they need. But
Yeah.
it's. I think certain things are, but I feel like you could probably get all the porn you want, man.
Oh, that's pretty wild over there. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing the show, and I'm
Dude.
looking forward to the second season where I play the racist neighbor.
Yes, dude. Oh man, I'm so.
I'm not a racist, but I play one on TV.
I mean, dude, that'd be amazing. It'd be so fun,
man.
and I'm so glad.
I really like the show. As I watched the show, I was like, this is a show I would love to be on something.
Yeah,
because
man.
It really, as much as I try to think of stuff and I'll pitch it to people, and if it's not in the box of like, oh no, that won't work, they just blow it off. So I
Yeah.
respect what you have accomplished with the pacing and the tone and the writing, and knowing that it'll get the right people.
Yeah.
It'll get the
It'll
right
get its
people.
people.
It'll get the people that are into arty, cool stuff. It'll get people that are into. I think in this documentary watching world, people are into a different pacing.
Mm-hmm.
They can let stories unflare, and they want to learn.
Yeah.
And I really hope that a lot of people see this outside of your race, religion,
Yeah.
or any. I want everyone to see this.
Oh man, I hope so. And
I do too.
I really appreciate that. No, and I think that I think there's something in it for everybody. I think,
Yeah.
and I hope that
That
gets
should
out
be
there.
the billboard should be you, and it should say something like, "Hey, don't be racist. Watch this show."
This one-
You know?
Or just a billboard that says "Submit to Islam." So it's like one or the other, you know.
I love you. Thank you so much. Are you
Dude.
going on the road at all? Give some road dates. Well, this will come out. When's your show come out?
So the show comes out April 19th. I'm shooting my
I'll put this out the week before that.
Yeah, I'm shooting my special at some point in April too. So
Where at?
we're trying to pin it down.
You
Yeah, trying
told
to
me,
pin down
yeah.
the location.
I
Yeah.
don't want to give it away,
Yeah,
but you
trying to
told
pin
me
down
that.
the location.
That was
but-
a great idea.
But yeah, we're man, we're trying to make it happen.
All right, and
Yeah.
thank you so much. Give them your
Dude.
Instagram and your Twitter and
Yes,
stuff.
my Instagram is Ramy @Ramy. It's just RAMY, and my Twitter is also Ramy @Ramy RAMY.
Just Ramy at Instagram?
It's just Ramy. Yeah, that's
Wow,
it.
you scored.
I got him. I got them both.
You're like Prince.
It happened.
You're the Muslim Prince. I'm Ramy,
Oh,
bitch.
man. Ramy.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to watch his show April 19th on Hulu. And I'm sure there's going to be some free trials or whatever. Hulu always has that. So if you don't have Hulu, grab it. This is a must-watch show, and I absolutely loved it. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and also patreon.com/Dean Del Rey if you want to support the podcast. Keep the candles lit. See you guys.